One team that's not necessarily adding talent at the right position is the Las Vegas Raiders, bringing in Kenyan Drake, a surprise move for a team that just moved on for basically their entire offensive line. They signed Drake to a 2-year deal for $11 million, could be up to $14 million based on incentives. So, Pete, how puzzling is this move to see the Raiders add to their backfield with a significant piece, knowing that they already have Josh Jacobs, who they spent a first-round pick on 3 years ago?
Yeah, this reeks of John Gruden. I mean, every move they make reeks of John Gruden. You know, you can blame Mike Mayock, but it's John Gruden making the calls. And this is one of those, I saw him play really well in a couple games. Let's go get him as a backup running back. You really don't need to do that with guys in the draft. And they could have drafted another back in the 4th round, 3rd round, and been a lot cheaper. And they have so many other needs. This is a bad move by the Raiders. It's not a slight to Kenyan Drake because I think he's a good player. But you have Josh Jacobs. He's a lead dog. He's the lead running back. Why do you need to go spend money to get another one? I don't like it.
All right, Dave, so let's talk about the fantasy angle here. Pete doesn't like it. I don't like it. I'm sure you don't like it as well. But fantasy managers looking at Josh Jacobs, who was basically a 2nd-round pick. You know, we saw him go in the 1st round in 2020. He didn't live up to those expectations. But a guy who was a workhorse when he was healthy and certainly put up some good numbers. But what are the expectations for him now in 2021, knowing that he's sharing with Kenyan Drake? And then what's Drake's fantasy outlook, knowing that he's going to be the backup guy?
Okay, so the first thought I have is this an indictment on Josh Jacobs? Did Josh Jacobs do something last season that the Raiders brass said, all right, we can't count on him to be a feature back anymore. We need to get in some heavy-duty help. That's what they did. That makes me nervous to draft Josh Jacobs as anything more than a number 2 fantasy running back. And you're right, we were talking about him as a 1st-round pick last year. This year, I think he's a 3rd-round pick at the absolute best and someone that really doesn't have as much appeal in full PPR than in non-PPR. And Drake is going to be one of those running backs that you look at and say, okay, he's an insurance policy. Maybe he'll get 8 to 10 touches per game. That's what running backs got last year in Las Vegas behind Josh Jacobs. Maybe that's his role. That puts him in the category in round 9 or round 10. Total downgrade for him. Someone that is going to be a fantasy afterthought, maybe not by the person that drafts Josh Jacobs, but there's really no reason to love what the Raiders are doing with their run game.
Yeah, I'm going to take the over on the touches there. I can't imagine they're bringing him in just to be 8 to 10 touches. He's better than what the Raiders had as their backups last year, clearly based on what his pedigree is. So I think we're going to see closer to a 50-50 split. I'm not taking Josh Jacobs until the 4th round at the earliest, and I think Drake is going to be a guy that you take in the round 7, round 8 range, just because he will get the opportunity to touch the ball, because John Gruden, I think, will use both of these guys to the detriment of fantasy managers. What are you doing to us? We want to see you add some pieces to the wide receiver core. I know they bring in John Brown, but I don't think that's the total answer yet. So the flip side of this is, what are the Cardinals going to do with their backfield? So, Pete, you look at Chase Edmonds was a guy that has stepped up at times over the last couple of seasons. Got a chance to start one game last year. It was week 9 against Miami, and he didn't perform very well in that regard. Is that the next piece of the Cardinals offense, adding another running back to upgrade over Chase Edmonds?
Yeah, there are guys out there. I mean, you look at the running back market, there are guys out there. You could probably get them on 1-year minimum deals. So I think if they want to add a veteran player, there are, guys available. If they want to go the draft route, which is the way I would go, you look at this draft and it's a deep running back class. Heck, North Carolina has 2 guys, Williams and Carter, who both could be 2nd and 3rd round picks, and they're both going to be productive NFL players. They could make a decision to go in that direction. So personally, if I were the Cardinals, I'd nose around one of the veterans on a 1-year minimum deal, and then if I can't make that happen, or even if I do make that happen, I'd still draft one in the 3rd or 4th round.
The Cardinals are another one of those teams that you don't want them to do too much at running back because they got so much out of Kyler Murray. Let the offense flow through him. If they stick with Chase Edmonds as the main back, that would be interesting for fantasy. I think he'd easily be at least a number 2 fantasy running back. But I don't know if they see him that way. They've never given him consistent opportunities to be the lead guy. And that was even the case last year when Kenyan Drake wasn't doing much. He was basically just a 2-down plotter. I bet they add somebody, and I get goosebumps thinking about Travis Etienne with a red bird on his helmet.
Could be fun to see what they do in the draft. And again, maybe they do add another veteran on a cheap deal like Pete suggested.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.